All right, Neil, so thanks for coming in and speaking to me today. The reason that I wanted to talk to you today was when I talked to lots of agents, quite a few of them almost want to hear it from the horse's mouth as to what our tools do and how they work. You've obviously been an agent for a long time. Before we go into it, would you mind just sort of telling me a bit of a background on, your history and where you come from in agency?
Yep, as you know, I've been in agency for 32 years now. Been running my own business for the last 15. Gone from being a corporate agent, running lots and lots of branches, now down to just specifically concentrating on just one.
Cool. So in terms of your marketing before Iceberg, how would you say that kind of worked? Was it? Did you ever look at more sort of medium to long-term marketing, or?
No, not at all. I think before I started working with you guys, marketing was very. You'd send some leaflets out. You thought you was a industry leader if you sent 1,000 leaflets out a month, whether it be through the post or through the door or distribution firms. So it actually was quite nerve-wracking to an extent, and felt a little bit uneasy. Getting a bit more involved in there is a bigger world out there than just putting a leaflet through someone's door and hoping that they're going to give you a call. Yeah,
I can imagine. So when we first spoke about the product, it was all about the market appraisal tool.
Yes.
That we use called BAIT. So what was your sort of thinking behind whether to use it, whether not to use it? What was going through your head when we first sort of spoke about that?
The valuation tool is fantastic, simply because it is so different and really broke the market in terms of what you sent to an owner. Forget all the other bits that we'll come on to for the minute, but the actual tool itself, the best you would get was you would spend a little bit more money and invest in a watermarked bit of headed paper, and you'd send that out, or you'd hand deliver it, maybe with a brochure, maybe with a little flyer about your company. Whereas the tool now is superb because it's just so real. You feel like you're in it. So that is great. So there wasn't a big sell that was needed for me to do that, because I bought into that straight away. I could see the benefit of that. I suppose the concerns would be that the other bits that bolted onto the back of it, naturally it was a concern to think, am I going to see the value in this? The concern's going to be, where's the cost? When's it going to start paying some dividends back, as it were? But no, absolutely loved the first part of it. A little bit of a hurdle, and this is me as running a branch and running my own business. I'm very much I'm into it. I'm 100 miles an hour, and you're going to the team, where are you? So really you need to sit down, explain it in detail to them, get them to buy into it, get them to see the benefit, and then it really works without you having to crack that whip and say, why aren't you doing that, why aren't you doing that? They are with you in the trenches going, right, that's the way we're going.
So once you started using the market appraisal tool, you guys, got it integrated into your workflows, and you could see the benefit of it. You liked it. We then moved up onto level 2, whereby we started to create content, push that out across Facebook. I kind of remember that being a bit scary for you in the beginning.
Hugely scary, because at 50 odd years of age and never used social media at all, I know you've laughed at me, it does become a bit of that's the unknown. That's a bit scary. What do I need to do? So I'm still trying to get to grips with all the social media part of it, but the beauty of once you understand the product, the content, you can have a bit of input into it and understand it. I think going back to the not really having an understanding of it and just saying, we'll let them get on with it and do that, you need to know what's going out, because you can add that into your valuation and any conversations you have with a potential valuation client, knowing what's been sent to them.
Yeah. So now that you've gone up through the levels, obviously your cost has increased, the functions that Iceberg do for you has increased. Most people that I speak to, the very first time I speak to them, the idea that one day they would end up spending, the best part of a full-time member of staff salary on their marketing is something where most people would think to themselves, no thanks, I haven't got the money to do that.
Yep.
Was that something that, a problem that you ever sort of come across in your mind? Or?
Definitely, and I would still say even really loving the product, there are still times where you think to yourself, oh, is that really working? I mentioned earlier, and I don't think it's a stat that I can say that's improved this part of my business. In fact, I would say to you that the way the market is at the moment, gone are the day where you go around on a valuation, you convert that person there and then. You need to have it as a compliment for what you're doing. I'm sure we'll come onto it after, but one of the things I love about the product is that it tells me when someone is looking at a certain page on my website, where they're looking at a certain blog that's gone out, or they're just revisiting their valuation, and it just gives me that power and that facility to call them, to email them, to make some contact with them, and it's like while it's hot. So I really like that. That's my favourite part of it.
So if you switched it all off tomorrow, what would be the problem? I mean, like you could go back to sending people letters, putting them in a callback diary, no social media, no medium, no long-term prospecting. What would make you feel at all uncomfortable about doing that?
I think in the same way as I was apprehensive in getting involved in it to start with, I would feel the same, but in reverse now, because it's like that comfort that you've got. It's like a silent member of your team that's there all the time and is working for you, pushing all the stuff out. I think if I switched it off tomorrow, I probably wouldn't see an effect for the first 3 or 4 months. And then you'd go back to being so reactive, which is, oh, it's not working, we need to do something. And it's that running around like a headless chicken, what do I need to do? And I suppose you would maybe revert back to saying, short term, we need to get some leaflets out, we need to do that. It's a process that is in, and you need to believe in it, and you need to run with it, and you need to give it at least, in my opinion, 12 months before you can actually appreciate it and then see some benefit of what goes out there. But I think you've also got to spend some time in talking to your valuations and your clients about the product, get some feedback.
Lots of the clients that I speak to, they're back where you were, where they're doing very reactive marketing. They're sending out flyers, they're trying to find the people that are thinking about selling their houses right now. How do you think your marketing strategy has now changed in terms of how you find a client from before you used Iceberg to now, and your views on it?
Really good question, because the best case scenario you had before was you sold a certain house in a road and then you thought you was fantastic. So you'd send a leaflet to the house either side and the house on the other side of the road, telling them how fantastic you are, and if they ever wanted to sell, to come back to you. The chances of them really wanting to sell probably were quite small. What it's actually changed is the thought process of how do you get a client to come to you. We talk about this all the time. When I used to work for a big global brand, Halifax, back in the 80s, you didn't have to worry about that. It didn't even come into your mind, because your phone would ring. You didn't have a computer, it was a typewriter. Your phone would ring, someone would walk through your door and say, I want a valuation, can you come round? It's only when you run your own business that actually stops. And you've actually got to think to yourself, how do I attract that person and where do I find them? So the nurturing and the understanding that you're focused on the here and now in front of you, which is the business you're going to convert, that's all you're focused on working for a big firm. Working for yourself, you've actually got to look at how do I get them into this process, and how long does that process take before I can convert? That's probably one of the hardest things to actually understand. But once you've get your head around that, it's then getting the things into place that's going to nurture those people through, that's going to give you what you're good at, converting. Absolutely,
yeah, I love that. So instead of just looking at people that are actively thinking about selling right now, is a question of stepping back and looking at, right, what's our strategy that's in place for warming people up to make sure that when we get to 2020, these people are already familiar with Neil King.
Yes.
And it's impossible, I guess, to do that with a sold in your street leaflet.
Totally, because all they'll be familiar with is that you was that guy that sold that house at that time, and then when that leaflet goes in the bin and that board's down and the neighbours moved and the greeting cards have stopped between neighbours once they've gone, your history, you're gone. So you need to just try and keep in their mind, but more importantly is actually give them something that they want to know more about. They don't want to know that you're the best agent in the world and that you can do the job for them, because they might not be thinking about selling at that time. you want something that they're going to like, that they're going to say, we're thinking about moving, let's ring that guy.
Yeah. Just to summarise that then, an agent phones you up, someone you trust, someone who you've been friends with for a long time, and says, I've looked at this stuff, Neil, I've looked at what Iceberg do. I mean, I know I need to do something, the market's tough, but I'm struggling even to pay some of the basic things like my Rightmove account and that sort of stuff. Dreading the idea of having to now spend 1,500 quid a month doing this whole long-term marketing. What would you say to them?
That's a real tough one, because having gone through that thought process of can I afford to pay this, you need, as I mentioned already, you need to have an understanding of it and you need to believe in it. So my advice would be to any agent thinking about doing that is, first and foremost, talk it through with you. Also talk through your concerns or their concerns with you. But they've really got to know that they have that money for a 12-month spread, because you're not going to see a return in 4 weeks, you're not going to see a return in 8 weeks. You're actually going to see it slowly moving, and then your understanding and your acceptance and your belief in how that works goes hand in hand, that then makes you stand out different from the other agent. Because this is what it's all about. The product isn't suddenly going to be given to an average agent and he's suddenly going to become the best in the town. You've got to give it to somebody who has got a belief that they are the best in the town, but they need some support and they need something that's going to make them stand out. It's quite interesting that when you become an independent agent, if you've been in corporate world for a long time, you suddenly say, I want to do all of the stuff that corporates don't do, and I don't want to do any stuff that corporates do. Stand back, you're making a mistake. You have to do all of the stuff that a corporate does, but just sprinkle it with the independent magic.
Yeah, put your own spin on it.
Definitely.
So you still need to be communicating, you still need to be doing the social media, you still need to do the flyers. You know, I would never say to somebody, don't do sold in your street flyers. The whole thing forms part of the whole structure of marketing. The problem, I guess, with most small businesses is they're worried about just meeting the payroll, they do the immediate marketing, and then it's back to the grindstone of doing the everyday work in the business. I guess doing the viewings, doing the valuations, doing this, doing that, until we need to get the marketing hat back on again and do something, you know.
I think the problem there is that it's easy to say, start the process when you can afford to do it. I guess there's a high percentage of people that come into you when they're at that desperation stake. I need to get this to work. Don't do it and think you're going to get a result in 4 weeks. Do it with a 12-month, medium, long-term plan, work with you, and you will see the results. It will actually change your mindset in how the business works. And hand in hand, sounds very cliche, but it will improve you as a person, it will improve your brand. More importantly, it will improve public awareness of you.
Love that. So, like the part you just mentioned there about how it might change someone's mindset, could you give us a bit more on that?
Okay, so we're going through it with my business at the moment, as you know, being very Facebook, blog, social media, frightened, scared of. It's the world that we're in at the moment. You know, Facebook isn't full of 15-year-olds sitting in their bedroom talking about their boyfriends or girlfriends.
That's Instagram.
Yeah. Or my son says Snapchat. Isn't it now? What you guys are sending out is fantastic, and what the process I'm going through at the moment is finding those groups that are on there that you can specifically market to. That's what's really opened my eyes up to it, because I thought it was all before single people looking for dates, but actually, you know, you can target to a certain group of people that really is what you should be doing, because they're the people that want you, that want your service, and going to pay your fee.
Yeah, that's big. It's a big shift from the way that you thought about marketing before we started working on it.
Massively. And if somebody is going to look at this video now and say, oh, I haven't spoken to Neil for 4 or 5 years, they're going to go, is that really him? What has happened? It's the way forward.